Fast forward, any come or channel you so channel so say how say AGH politics are venue. Podcast or training because big headlines. Ne jemre na EDB exomo ewaha. Ne dem young brock you say ene EDD kanya. But so much subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share na for friends or answer into me and KB. Now, National Cathedral a scandal dagana for Akroma so enya semko to Accra. Na a Deputy Attorney General etimi ababontin so etimi abema ye the inside story enya asemko to Accra. Na di working na say omu a contract a external auditor bia or the quantum of the money na omatimi ejina so na omahwe amount of money a recoverable ojemre o GH one television so abra na obo intremu mesra say yonkon semnum na inti emuye pa
Received corruption, some evidence that was brought into the public domain, especially in the last part of 2024. So, how far with the National Cathedral?
The National Cathedral is on. The investigations are ongoing. What we have now is a question of auditing. So we have engaged external auditors who are trying to quantify how much is recoverable. And don't forget that the main issue with the National Cathedral was one of priority. So Ghanaians were angry with that project because it came at a time where things were hard for Ghanaians. People's pension were not being paid. People were being given haircut as we knew it. And then we are building a cathedral. I think that was the main point of anger, but that is not a crime. I mean, it's a government priority. If government says that I'll let the people die and I'll build a cathedral, you can't really charge the government for making that decision. The punishment for that is when you subject yourself to popular elections, they will vote against you. But you cannot bundle a government and say you are building a cathedral.
Are investigations leading anywhere? Do you think that? Oh
yes, definitely. Monies were spent which did not get the right or the proper approval, the legal approval. And so that is why I said they are auditing to quantify that amount of money.
And this audit is different from what we already know to be in the public domain?
Yeah, that is different. Like I said, when what we have in the public domain is information generally saying that you have spent this amount of money, but not that whole amount is criminal. A component of it were spent without proper approval. That is what we are trying to ascertain.
That's what you're zeroing in on.
Exactly.
Okay, but there's also the issue of public lands and the sale of public lands. A quick update on that?
Yeah, so on the public land issues, a lot of the lands that the investigation is pointing to the fact that a lot of the lands we have, that are in issue, yes, they were acquired, and I think, let's go back to the allegation. The allegation is that they were bought at a ridiculously low price. I think that was the main allegation. Now the question again is the fact that the prices were low themselves will not be criminal in terms of someone committing a crime. What we are looking at is which civil vehicle or mechanism, civil law mechanism, could we use to reverse some of the sales. But that government has sold land to you at a ridiculously low price is not necessarily evidence of a crime for you to prosecute, but we can recover those lands by other civil mechanisms to bring justice to the people. So we are looking at that option.
And on PDS?
PDS, the investigation is still ongoing, and a part of the PDS issue is still under arbitration. Yes, so investigations are ongoing. When crimes are specifically identified, we'll deal with them.
The Addo case seems to be the one that has received a lot of attention in court, and the latest is about the third accused whose charges have been dropped because she accepted a certain plea bargain. And there are those who have expressed some reservations about plea bargaining. They argue that, look, yes, we spend a lot of time in court, we spend a lot of money prosecuting cases, but also the belief is that engaging in plea bargaining sometimes results in people receiving less punishment for an offense, i.e. justice not being served.
Yes, so when it comes to plea bargaining, we need to understand one thing, that there is a law which regulates plea bargaining. Okay, so plea bargaining is not the invention of one of my boss or myself. It's a law which existed, and I'm sure you remember the is it Addo Asian situation was a plea bargaining that was used.
Right.
So the plea bargaining law simply gives options that sometimes it's better to recover the money for the accused person to serve a lesser sentence than put the person in jail and lose the money. It also acknowledges the fact that in financial crimes, it is important to get the money and deal with the consequence of sentencing the person. Now, this is the question which I wish to answer. Why would the prosecutor go to bargain with an accused person? There could be a lot of reasons. One is difficulty in proving, the crime. That's one. So, for example, one of the principles we have set so far in engaging accused persons on plea bargaining, which is their right anyway. They have a right to approach us with proposals. We also have a duty to examine the proposal and choose whether we want to settle or not. But one of the factors we consider is, are you bringing to us evidence which we wouldn't have had to prove the case against the other accused persons? That is one. The second one is, are you going to return what you have, agreed to have stolen? So these are the two things that we look at. Are you bringing us the money back? And not all. And two, are you giving us evidence which we didn't have? So even if you are bringing the money back and you are not bringing us evidence which we do not have, there's no way we are going to agree with you on plea bargaining. And if you are bringing us evidence that we didn't have and you are not giving us the money, we are still not going to agree with you to settle. So these are the principles that we are operating with. Now, the Addo Boahene situation. I don't know if you took your time to read the facts of the case. If you look at the facts of the case, it's simply someone setting up a system to take money from the state, run it through private enterprises, and then the money is lost to the state. Basically, that's what's happening. Now, in this process, there are two people that we considered as what? Accomplices, or people who assisted in the process. One of them is the
third accused.
The third accused, who was, we believe, was facilitating the movement of the money and was on the ground. Now, further investigation after we filed the case, and don't forget, we offered her an opportunity to, give us evidence and return the money, and then we can, kind of settle the matter with her, not just other people. So she decided not to say anything, but midway through the trial, when she saw where the case was going, vis-a-vis the defense that they thought they had, she decided to abandon her initial position and then side with the prosecution. Now, the question you need to ask is, why would she do that? She's doing that because she knows where, she can, being an insider, she knows where this is heading. But in her case, we did not have any evidence of, we didn't find money with her. We didn't find money, even though she was involved, we didn't find money with her. And what we realized was that she was doing something with a certain belief which was not what was happening. So when she discovered what was actually happening, she decided not to side with the side that she was. And we thought that, well, this is someone who can give us, testimonies on how the inside of this runs. And we are not just dealing with this prosecution. We are doing this to also prevent future occurrences of such. And so for someone who has knowledge of how these things were done, when she has not actually, we don't have any evidence of monies being with her, we decided that let's take this side and then let her, join our side to testify against the accused person. And we were successful today in removing her from the case, and the case continued from where it left off. Today we had our second witness, so we had 3 witnesses in the case. We finished with the first witness today. We are on the second, which we'll finish by next week, and then the next week we'll be doing the third witness, and we'll close our case. So by the end of November, we are definitely sure that we would have closed our case, and then the defense will open their case. So those who said we are doing populism, and those who said we are not moving fast, I don't know when the last time that you saw a case move within a few months with this speed. And that is how we are prosecuting all the other cases.
On the Addo matter as well, his lawyer lost a case, trying to seek an injunction on what you're doing while a certain appeal is heard. I'm sure you must be excited about that.
Oh no, so we not excited per se, but I was happy that the decision went in our favor, because what was going to happen is if the application was granted for stay of proceedings, if it was granted, what it meant was that we would now sit and not be able to move until the appeal is decided, which usually take another 1 year. So they were not able to show why, to convince the court that this is a case where the court has to stay proceedings, and we were happy that the judge upheld our side of the argument.
Let's go back to the NSA scandal, because listening to your boss, the Attorney General, address the nation and give us updates, you get a sense sometimes in his delivery of the shock in what was discovered, and some have said that he sounded as though he was already pronouncing judgment over a matter that was yet to be determined. In analyzing the evidence that you have, if you don't mind sharing, what has been the most shocking or fascinating discovery for you?
No, so the shocking thing is this concept of the markets. So the scheme that it's an elaborate scheme within the NSC, where look at it this way: how much is national service allowance? A meager 700 cedis. So you could never believe that millions of cedis could be siphoned through a project which pays personnel 700 cedis. It is a poverty project. If you listen to national service and what we all know about national service, the suffering we go through, we all knew that is a place for suffering. Then you are told someone was able to siphon 500 million cedis. That was the shock in it. So it was shocking that you could siphon this amount of money from. And personally, I didn't believe it until I started seeing the evidence. Then I started seeing the movement of money into bank accounts and out of bank accounts, and I was shocked too. Now, the shocking thing is how elaborate and deliberate people could be in designing this kind of scheme to siphon money from public coffers into private pockets. You create a market, so the market is supposed to be a place where national service personnel could buy items that they didn't get in their posting, and then pay by installments
on
over
the
period from their allowances. So this is a brilliant idea. Then we realized that the people set this system up and were pushing a lot of money into the market when no one actually bought anything. So we're paying huge sums of money to vendors in the market when these vendors sold nothing. And these monies then go around and then enter into private pockets. That is the shocking thing of it. And we believe that when the trial starts, Ghanaians will be able to see how shocking it was. And that is not to say that they are guilty. No, it's only the courts that can say someone is guilty. But when you see what's wrong, you will feel it.
So Gift Owari and Mr. Osesibe are, in this case, the first 2 accused. You have just detailed how shocking the evidence is. Is plea bargain on the table for them?
Every Ghanaian is entitled to plea bargain. And they've approached us. Some of the people have approached us to bargain. And so, and we rejected some. And the fact that, some they are in court should tell you that we rejected some of the proposals.
Does that include Gift Owari specifically?
It's without prejudice, so I will not mention them. But I can confirm to you that a lot of them approached us for bargaining. We considered them based on the criteria I mentioned to you. We considered them and we rejected some.
Right. So estimated about 500 million CDs, and the conversation has come up for a plea bargain, which means most likely that some of the monies are going to be returned, if not all. So with the conversations that have been had so far, how much possible recovery are we looking at?
We really are looking at recovering that amount.
The entire amount?
Yeah, we're looking at, I mean, you mentioned 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned 500.
500 million CDs.
Yeah, we're looking at recovering that. It's one thing we're looking for that and the people having it to give. And if they don't have it to give, we would trace every single thing that they have, every asset, every property, as far as the law will allow us, we'll recover each and every one of them.
Interesting. You're watching State of Affairs today. I'm speaking to...
When you go through trial, then after trial, judgments, before sentencing. So it's a long process. Now, before you even ask, there's a lot of concern, and I'm very much aware about how fast the oral is moving, the effectiveness of the oral. Is the oral dead? Is it still alive? And let me say this, the oral is alive and is very much on track. Understand the people who are raising those concerns. And indeed, for us, we are happy that Ghanaians are not going to sleep on oral. We are happy that they prompt us every morning on social media. Every day, I receive no less than 100 tags on people saying that there's an allegation of this here, there's an oral issue here, what are we doing? So I am very much aware, and I like it, because when I wake up in the morning, I am energized by the call of Ghanaians to pursue what we promised them. Now, you cannot say at this point that the oral is slow. Do you know why? Because investigations take time. This government, or our government, we are if you compare the time we started going to court on these oral cases with other government, we are about 6 months ahead of any other government. So
some say that's just for the optics. They say you're just doing it because it's populist. You've just admitted that sometimes it takes a long time to build a body of evidence and be able to prefer charges and go to court. So there's that argument of populism being attached, also because the belief is that you want to prove to the people that you're doing something. The minorities, particularly in Parliament, says there's really nothing to chase. In fact, one of the MPs there believes that if you take away the legal vacation, you have just about 26 months left, and he thinks that you can't even prosecute 5 cases successfully.
We accept the challenge. We accept the challenge. But on the issue of whether it is populist, as you can see, the people even think that we are doing far less. If we're going to do populism, I'm sure by now we would have rounded up a whole bunch of people and kept them in remand while doing investigations. There's one thing that is completely different from how we are doing our things and what we know. I'm sure from your work as a journalist, you've heard or you've seen instances where people have been arrested, they take them to court, and for a whole year and more, all the prosecutors used to tell the court that investigation is ongoing, so they take a date. Investigation is ongoing, they take a date. We have not done that. In fact, we don't even arrest people and take them to court until we are ready and we have filed charges and we have filed our evidence. So, for example, if you take the National Service, we announced that investigations were concluded, I think, somewhere 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So if we're following populism, we would have arrested the long list of people that came out from the investigation and have arraigned them before court, and there's nothing anyone can do about it, because the power to prosecute will be ours, and we'll go to court and be asking the court adjournment, but we didn't do that. We sucked the pressure from the people, saying that why are we allowing these people to walk around? And I'm sure you are aware that people, whenever they see some of the accused persons, they get angry. I remember when the lady Gifty was announced as some GFA position. The whole country went, why are we allowing her to even contest? And I'm sure you saw that. And we didn't worry about that because we were not populist. If we were populist, we would have just rounded it up.
Right.
So the populist accusation is very much unfounded.
Right. Now, on the issue of how much we're chasing, right, I didn't get a response to that. Are we still looking at around $21 million? Are we looking at more? And how much of that is realistically recoverable?
No, so like I indicated, that is information. The evidence we are receiving shows that that amount would not be a fair assessment of what can be recovered. In other words, it is a bit on the high side than what we are receiving from the evidence.
Right. Let's do some specifics now. You received a lot. You have zeroed in. You just spoke specifically about the NSA scandal, but a lot of people are also concerned about the National Cathedral because there were a lot of accusations about.
We and some of the team cause or channel so mamma so yemre wahara send so bad in the domania. You have some room near some year, politics avenue.